How y'all doing? That's good to hear. All right, well, this is the production panel.
Production is magic.
Oh, yes, exactly. I forgot that part.
Important.
And very important. Race, how you doing today?
I'm tired.
Why?
Because Dave and I flew in at 6 a.m. from Los Angeles. Here, Dave, how are you holding up?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually a little bit tired. I think I have like from 3 to 15 reserved for nap during the panel.
That makes two of us.
Jillian, so Jillian and Mitch will handle the questions.
You guys are good, right?
Yeah, that's very good. It's good.
Cool.
We can do it.
Excellent. Of course, Dave Polsky, GM Berrow, and
What's this guy's name?
Josh Haber.
Josh Haber. M.A. Larson joining the stage.
I didn't expect to win so many awards tonight, but
Yeah.
thank you.
You have a 45-second acceptance speech?
Oh,
Let's hear it.
geez. Who can
Before
I-
the music plays you off.
I got nothing.
All right, so this is going to be a very casual panel. We're going to just throw some questions over to our gracious guest here, and then we'll open it up to you guys. I believe we have someone with a microphone in the audience. We'll be passing it around to see if they are out there somewhere. They might not be out there just yet. Oh, there they are. Okay, so it'll be that gentleman over there. So until then, I think we should kick this off. So we've done introductions. Let's start off with the basic question. How did y'all get into writing? It's as generic as it gets. Let's hit it up. We'll
Yeah,
start
we
from
were
the ground
talking
up.
backstage, and we were like, how can we make this more interesting than other writer panels?
So I picked up a pencil, and I got a piece of paper.
This was no regular pencil. It had lead in it. This is a dangerous job, ladies and gentlemen. Very dangerous.
I live dangerously. I write with pen.
What?
Yeah.
So that once
What are you
once
thinking?
it's on the paper, you can't go back.
No, actually, that is a good point, though. You should write with pen, because then when you want to cross something out, you just put one line through it, and you can still see what you had there. You might want it later.
Well, how often do you guys actually like write with pen and paper versus typing it up? Is there a process for that?
I use blood.
Yeah.
Whose blood, Mitch?
I use his blood.
Whoever's
No.
around.
No, I actually do write with a pen and paper
Yeah?
when I'm stuck, especially, because then it helps. Yeah.
Well, how about you two gentlemen?
We're doing the pen paper question now?
Yeah.
We can go back to the other
Listen,
one.
I got like 3 aces up my sleeve.
You don't want to
Going
eat
through 'em right now.
ease into it a bit?
Yeah. Favorite Pokemon?
It's I think in early stages when it's kind of this, kind of trying to figure out sort of the rough shape of the story or of a scene. I'll write it longhand in pen and or pencil. But then when it's time to like really just crank out some pages, I'll do a lot of it just straight at the keyboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use a quill and a scroll. That's it.
How canon.
For authenticity.
Countess Jillian.
I use a computer.
You do?
Keys.
Yeah.
He
Because
uses keys.
it's just so much faster.
See, I don't want to be like offensive or anything, but I'm under the impression that writers all have like a library from Beauty and the Beast, and they sit there with a red robe with like a piano in the background playing, and that's how you guys
That's what
do most-
happens.
Is that true?
Every day.
That's
That is
not that's
true.
not a stereotype. That's actually
No.
for real.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
You did have some aces up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This beard only happens when I shave my forehead and the rest of my head.
It's
That
like
was
one of
going to
those
be my
little
next
like.
question.
It's kind of the negative space of
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like those little like pin things that
Right.
you get at the gas station. Good times. Good times.
It's like whack-a-mole. It moves around.
Did you guys have any inspirations that got you into writing? Like you saw something maybe when you were younger and said, I want to do something like this.
No. Okay. Next
All right.
question.
Yeah, you're inspired by the entertainment you consume, I think. Disney movies, I always loved. I know you like those.
A little bit. Yeah.
This guy's seen Zootopia like how many times?
No, it's too early in the panel.
Sorry.
To go
I was
down
just
that
going-
rabbit trail.
25.
No, this is about them race, not
Wow.
about you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I brought it up. I'm sorry. Yeah, just Disney movies, fairy tales. I read a lot of Roald Dahl and stuff like that. It was definitely inspirational to me. I don't think I read it and said, I want to do that. It just sort of made sense later. I don't want to say I fell into it because that makes it sound like I wasn't working on it, but I sort of fell into it. And then it made sense because I was a fan. What about you, Dave?
I don't know. I feel like for me it's kind of I don't know if compulsion is the right word, but I think it's just a desire to try to work things out and figure things out, and it's like not always successful. You know what I mean? But it's like that. It's a kind of a compulsion to sort of see how ideas fit together and test things out. It's almost a little bit more like having questions that I'm trying to answer. And, sometimes the answers are satisfactory, sometimes they aren't. But it's like, I think that drives me more than, even though I think the desire to emulate things that I really admire is also factors into it, it's not the primary impulse. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember. Zootopia?
No, I'll answer this question for you.
Okay.
So
'cause-
one time Mitch was in school and he had
One,
to write
once.
he had to write a paper for school, and what was the assignment? Now I'm forgetting.
We had to write just the hero's journey. General
Yeah, a hero's journey, and he wrote it from the point of view of
The dog piece in a Monopoly game.
Yes.
That's clever.
And he was addicted.
Because I remember turning it in thinking like this is not what they want, and this is going to be like an F, but it was intoxicating, and I got an A, so the reward kicked in. And I was actually better at science and math than writing or any kind of creative thing, but there was that like addictive part of it that I really liked, that you could make somebody go, hey, this is cool, A.
So you've been promoting Hasbro from an early age then, huh?
Yeah.
Is it Mattel or Hasbro? I can't remember, actually.
Soon Mattel will be owned by Hasbro, so it doesn't matter.
And then Disney will buy that, and then we
No,
can call it a day.
Hasbro will buy Disney.
Oh. Don't scare me like that. Well, okay, this is a kind of a...
This is a loud microphone.
All
Aren't
right.
you guys glad you came in here?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, just something I've been pondering. When it comes to, I guess, writing, most folks assume that, oh, you must be bad at math then. Is that true? What are your feelings towards mathematics as writers? I'm curious.
I love it. I'm totally into it. I love geometry. I love doing math, and I was better at it than writing, but it didn't have that same kind of danger.
Is it going to be 2 or 3 this time? I just don't know.
You're either right or you're wrong.
What if my calculator runs out of batteries in the middle of this?
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that stress.
No.
I don't blame you.
I was a math major in college.
For real? Okay. Why the change of heart then? Or is it something along the way you did
Well,
both?
see, that's the thing. Well, because, again, I didn't decide to pursue writing as a career until well after I was well into adulthood. It wasn't like it was something I was always interested in, but I was always thought about it as an amateur activity for me. And so I didn't decide, it didn't become a professional pursuit until much later. So, but I don't think of it as a change of heart. I mean, obviously I'm not dealing with numbers and equations, but for me, writing is a pretty analytical process, and that's actually kind of the fun part for me. It's kind of like puzzle solving just a lot of times. And so I think it's actually just how I get to express the mathematical thing, the same thing that attracted me to mathematics in college.
Okay. I want to expand on that quickly because it's inspiring. So you said you were well into adulthood when you switched to writing. What was the breaking point for that, where you're like, this is it, and I'm going to go in this direction? Because a lot of folks are on the assumption that after a certain age, it's kind of game over. You're stuck on that path.
Right.
Which isn't true.
That is correct. It's not true unless you decide it's true, I guess. And then it is. So for me, I graduated college and worked for Wall Street for a little while, and then I burned out on that, and then worked in social work for a while, and then burned out on that, and then was doing telephone sales, and then I just wanted to crawl under a rock someplace.
I can relate.
And then, but all through that period, because of this compulsion I was talking about, I was writing poetry, and sorry, this is turning such a long, boring story, but in college I did a lot of theater and a lot of comedy, and so then somebody I knew from that time broke into the business and invited me in. So I had kind of a graced entrance into the business, but it kind of came roundabout. It sort of found me. So I was really, really lucky in that regard. But because I had been writing poetry all along, I had honed enough ability so that when that opportunity came, I could take advantage of it. Yeah.
So, question to the audience, real quick, by a raise of hands. How many of you have written a story? So there's a lot of you out there. I'm kind of curious. I think we got Mitch's answer on this, or unless it's not the case with Monopoly. But I'm curious. Do you guys remember the first story you ever wrote and what it was about?
Yeah.
I do.
I wrote a story called The Muffin Thoot, which was about a troll who loved muffins. And he was like sort of like terrorizing this town, or they thought he was. But he was actually really friendly. And then they learned that they just had to bake him muffins, and then everyone got along.
Bribery. It works every time.
Nice.
I don't even know what a thoot is, but I drew a picture of it. He had like a little like sort of trumpet for a nose.
Very Tolkien inspired.
Yeah, it was genius.
about
That's
you?
coming next fall to a bookstore.
There you
No,
go.
no, I'm just kidding.
You pitched that idea to Game of Thrones. How about you?
I was in second grade, and I wrote a story called Back in History, where I visited, my dad was a civil engineer, but I thought that meant he worked in a steel factory. So I imagined that I was visiting him at work and a wrench fell on my head, and then I went back in time to when George Washington was becoming president and blah, 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 and I actually can't remember the whole story. But I remember with these pages, and I kind of stapled them into like a binding and then entered them in a contest and won second place in the state of Pennsylvania for the story.
Wow.
Ow.
See, the stars were there. They just aligned a little bit later.
And then I went
Yeah,
to-
all 13 stars.
And then I realized I had peaked in second grade and went to a deep depression from which I'm only recently emerging.
How about you, Mitch? Yeah, depression. So speaking of which, tell us about your career.
Oh. Wait, were you serious? I thought you were joking.
Oh, I thought you were
didn't mean to
joking
laugh at
too.
your-
No. I was
sorry.
joking. I was
Okay, whew.
Okay.
I was joking about
Things were about to get awkward.
I thought you were
Josh Dean
joking.
just eyeing me down in the
Okay.
background.
So depression. No, so the first story I remember writing was in 8th grade, and it was about, it's not funny at all, it's about a woman and her kid who are being stalked and tormented by the ex-husband, and they flee across the country, and he follows them, and it was really dark.
8th grade, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I come from like the most normal nuclear family you could ever imagine, so it's not personal experience.
Are you okay?
I
just want to make sure I'm doing my part. Are you okay?
Are we still on depression?
Okay. Well,
And I went into Monopoly pieces, and
Gotcha.
that was more fun.
What if the dog was depressed? No one picks him first. Okay, I just want to throw out there, when I was in 6th grade, I decided to have the brilliant idea of writing a D-Day fanfic. And then I realized after the first page that this isn't going to work because I'm making things up. I'm like, this isn't historically accurate. Maybe I shouldn't write a fanfic about history. But at least I got to write. I'm not sure when we want to open this up to the audience. We're about already 15, 20 minutes into it. So do you guys want to ask some questions to our guest? All right.
So we're gonna have the microphone dude be in charge.
Can we just
the honored gentleman. There we go.
can we just settle this now? The rarity is the best pony. So put your hands down.
The staff of judgment. Give it to Mitch. He needs it. It's a lot better than the staff of self-doubt.
Kids first, if you dare.
Children first.
Yep.
you
And
dare.
this,
What do we
once
do
again,
with
is
this
also
thing?
a PG panel, so just keep that in mind.
I guess we throw it at you if we don't like your question.
All right, the first one. Oh wow,
Wow, there it is.
how many episodes?
here with
have
it.
you been in now?
Okay, my question is for Mrs. G.M. Barrow.
Hi.
Why don't you ever write a book about the history of Equestria, including a timeline?
That sounds great. I guess I'll do that now. I have. I don't know why, because I haven't yet, but thank you.
Welcome.
I just like how the answer there was fine.
Yeah, so this is for Mitch and GM. I'm just wondering, do you find it easier or more difficult to write stories or, for episodes or books that don't have to follow a specific event that's been announced by Hasbro, so Twilight becoming an alicorn or Flurry Heart coming along?
Books are way, way, way harder. And the more restrictions you have, the easier it is. I know that's counterintuitive, but it's true. With the TV script, you've got roughly 30 pages. You got 2 act breaks for the commercials. You got a lesson at the end. You know who the main character of the episode is, and that makes it a lot easier. With a book, every page is a white giant space, so you can do anything. So I don't know about you, but I spend every page in my book thinking, what am I missing? What's the better choice than this? You don't really do that so much in TV. Some, but you have all those borders around it, so TV is way easier.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with him.
So my question is for M.A. Larson. You being one of my favorite writers on the show, I just want to know when you're going to go back to writing, or when are you going to start writing again? Because I really look forward to it. So.
You mean for the show?
Just in general.
I
guess
write all
for
the time.
show, or just in general, I mean.
I'm writing my 3rd book right now, and then I'm done with that series.
Like the way you said that, and then I'm done. Done with that series.
In a variety of formats, I've been working on this same idea since 2006, so I'm really excited to be done with it.
So I just for MLP, do you know?
MLP, okay, so maybe people don't understand the structure of it, but all of us are freelance. None of us actually work for Hasbro. Every episode could be our last episode or not. It just depends, scheduling, if they need people, if there's slots available, who's running the show. So who knows? I don't know.
Okay, well, I hope you get to write another episode because I'm praying to the gods.
Thanks.
I'm praying to Celestia and Luna that you get, praise
You
the
guys
moon,
do
praise
that for me too.
Thanks.
There's only one God, and his name is death.
Is it okay if I hold it? Thank you. All right. This is a question that I would like everybody to contribute to, if you can. I've been writing several books of my own, but one thing that I know little about is actually publishing it. I don't know if I should publish it in the more traditional route, put it on Amazon.com, or to self-publish. Do any of you have any advice when it comes to actually publishing a novel?
I don't know a lot about self-publishing, but I do know that some people have had great success with that, and it can be a way to get noticed or just have people read your stories if you feel frustrated by traditional publishing, which can be a lot of loopholes, and people can work for years, have a stack of manuscripts they've finished and still not get noticed. So if you really have your heart set on getting traditionally published, try that first and see how it goes. And maybe if it doesn't work out and you still want people to read your work, then just self-publish it. That's what I would say.
I don't know anything about self-publishing either, except that the benefit is you get all the money, and in traditional you don't. But in traditional you get the backing of the house. They do all the publicity and get your book actually into stores, which is much harder to do when you're self-publishing. So there's trade-offs on either side.
The only other thing I could think of is that one of the advantages. I'm gonna ask a question for you. Have you actually submitted it to any place and it?
Not yet. They are still under construction. A lot of them have some jokes that are a bit outdated at this point.
Because I guess if I were in your shoes, I would submit it to places when it's ready, and worst case is you get feedback, and rejections, and then self-publishing is still an option. If you self-publish right off the bat, you may have deprived yourself of some feedback that you may have had an opportunity to improve it before you self-published.
And one more thing, other people might be interested in this. A good thing to know is that you actually cannot submit to most publishers. You have to submit to agents.
Right.
And they read your book and decide if they want to represent it and sell it to the publishing companies. So don't submit your books to the publisher. It'll just be a waste of postage, and then you'll be sad when they send it back. But there's tons of agents, and there's a bunch of hashtags on Twitter actually. I think it's called MWL, or it's like manuscript wish list. If you just Google that, a bunch of agents will put what they're looking for. on Twitter with that hashtag, and you can see who is right for your type of story and contact them.
I'll look that up. Thank you. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Good luck.
Okay, so this one's for Larson. I was wondering when you're going to make the rest of the main 6 into alicorns.
Yeah, Mitch.
Take a drink.
Dave's doing that. I'm done.
No, you guys, that's happening in Penny Royal Academy Book 3.
Which you can no, you can't pre-order it yet. You could buy the second one.
Hello. You guys, are you guys like the? Well, I know Emma Larson's the head writer of the show, but do you guys like are the main like idea writers for the show? Because if you are, I have a question about the show. What?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, we all get together and brainstorm ideas, and then they get turned into premises for the season.
Oh, okay. Well, then there are two things that well, there's actually one the one thing that's really like bothered me with the show is what was the whole Castle of the Two Sisters restoration plot line about? Like, was that like something that was like gonna like turn into something and then it just like fell off by the wayside, or like what is the Castle of the Two Sisters restoration going to be brought up like ever again in the show, like building up to something, you know?
I think with a case like that, sometimes it is just kind of was a cool idea for a few episodes and then it never gets seen again. But a lot of times ideas like that, I think, get picked up again when we're brainstorming and we say, oh yeah, what could we do with that? Or maybe somebody has a long-term goal for it. I don't want to say too much because if it is going to come up again, then, you know, I don't want to ruin anything. But
none of the three of us worked on any of those, right? That's the other thing is like, you guys think of us as the writers, but we're all freelance and we don't see each other and we don't write together. We all write our own individual episodes. So if somebody's writing about the Castle of Two Sisters, it wasn't one of us. It was somebody else.
I think that was Josh, actually. Wasn't it Castle?
Yeah, I think so.
Could be.
Thank you.
So when you guys are writing a script, I know that you guys have pretty tight time constraints. So how do you tell how long your script is going to take when you transfer it from a script to an actual episode?
It's basically a page per minute. It's a little different with animation, but a script is about 30 pages. It varies, though. I've seen scripts from these guys, maybe not you specifically, but other writers that are 40 pages and they're 22 minutes. But when I was writing, Lauren told me I had 30 pages and that was it, because I guess my scripts were long for some reason, how they were written or something. But it's roughly 30 pages, right, for 22 minutes?
Yeah, for this show. Yeah.
For this show.
I feel like there are tricks too to like break it down into less pages. You could just take some of the scene direction out and just really trim. But yeah, I don't have that problem. I'm like, I underwrite and then I add.
Yeah, and when you're writing a screenplay, you use a program called Final Draft. Oh. And there's a lot of tricks.
It's a great program.
There's a lot of tricks you can use to cheat. Like, rather than using the word house, you use the word home. You buy yourself one character, and that moves the line up, moves the page up. And just changing one character can reduce a page from your script. So there's a lot of cheats you can do.
Yeah, Mitch here uses a larger font usually to get his scripts out of the way.
When I wrote the scene with Fluttershy saying "yeah," I reduced the font down to like 8. It's much smaller on the page.
What has been your favorite character to write for on the show?
Pinkie Pie for me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Pinkie Pie. And Rarity.
Discord for me.
I'm sorry, just in terms of for J.M. Berrow, in terms of the books, what has been your favorite character to write for?
For the books.
Cadence.
Tom the Rock.
Let's see, there's so many to choose from. Yeah, Cadence, no. I'd have to say, like, I always say that I like the Rarity book, but some of the books that I've done recently, like the Lyra Bonbon, was actually surprisingly fun to write, considering I had almost nothing to go on from somebody over there. Yeah, they were like, so there's this one part in the one episode where they're talking about this thing, and it's like 3 lines long. Go write a whole thing about that. So that was cool.
Thank you.
Hi. So earlier you were talking about how you had been in mathematics before and how you've been interested in that, and then later you moved on and were more drawn to writing. So my question was kind of the flip side of that. What drew you to mathematics in the first place, and what sorts of parallels do you see between mathematics and writing?
Well, I think what drew me to mathematics is actually very, I don't know if this is going to be in any way illuminating, I guess just in terms of just how odd I am, but that I just wanted to study something in college that I felt like I couldn't teach myself. And I felt like I can learn history, I can learn, I can read, but like I'm going to sit in front of a math book, I'm not going to be able to puzzle it through on my own. So I figured we're spending all this money, let me learn something I couldn't teach myself. So that was really the thinking that went into it. I think there was a deeper, maybe part of like unconscious attraction to it, but that was my conscious choice involving it. But as far as the connection between mathematics and, I think it's a lot of what Mitch was talking about like that I am a TV writer. I'm not a book writer, at least not so far. And I think even if I were, I would still put a lot of boundaries around myself because that's the only way I can forge through that tyranny of the blank page is to have a structure around it. And so for me, writing is very much a process of sort of playing a game of sort of seeing how ideas fit together, and having a clear structure sort of forces me to puzzle out these things inside a box. So that the way I approach writing is very much like puzzle solving. And so that's the connection to math, is there's good puzzle solving and then there's not good puzzle solving, and sometimes you don't do it well and sometimes you do it well. But I think for me, a lot of times in television writing, there is kind of a right answer to a certain degree. And that it's fun, it's very satisfying to find the right answer. And if you don't find the right answer one time, you learn how to do it better the next time. And so mathematics is like that, yeah.
Hello? Hello. Well, first off, thank you for writing the show. Someone needs to do it, and you guys do an amazing job. And second off, I'm fairly new to this whole kind of thing. I was wondering how you take a character, whether it's new or old, and keep it fresh and exciting, rather than just like generic fantasy character number 1. Maybe too broad?
I think it's almost easier later on. It's really hard when you're on a show at the beginning and you have no idea who the characters are. You have maybe 1 or 2 characteristics to go off of. You don't even know what they sound like or look like. I find that much harder. But when you come in later, you can find, in the second season, this character made an offhand reference about this. And then say, well, what is that all about? Is there a secret interest they have there? And kind of spin that out into something else. So I don't know. I guess it's easier later on when there's some established stuff, and you can hear the actors in your head saying the dialogue and things like that. It's really difficult at the beginning.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess just look for little quirks, little like throwaway lines, and it's like,
yeah,
why
like
did they say
Pinky's saying like best something ever, like that came from just one random moment in an episode. Now it's everything. But yeah, what he's saying. Yep. I didn't add to that at all, but there you go.
Well spoke.
Not really, but thank you.
Based on your experience with the show, if you could go back and change one thing, what would it be?
That we did or that happened?
In general.
Like in life? No.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Bad dinner experience. You wish to eat that, right? Chinese.
This is a hard question.
Can I say something really controversial?
Not make Twilight a princess?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Here's the thing. That was the end of the show. That was the very end of the show. That was the series finale. And there was a pickup for the 4th season a couple months after I turned in the final script. And I remember thinking, well, good luck, Megan, because it's over. She's a princess. It's done. There's nothing else. And
good luck, Megan.
to me, I'm sitting there thinking, this is fantastic bonus pony. We get extra pony that we weren't supposed to get, but you guys didn't know that. To you, it was like, why are they doing this in the middle of the show? You know what I mean? For the staff, it was the end of the show. And so it just created all this ridiculousness and anger, and it didn't really serve a purpose in the show because it wasn't supposed to happen in the show. It was supposed to happen at the end of the show. So it was just kind of a bad timing situation.
You know what's weird about that is that that's when I started. The first thing I ever wrote was Twilight Sparkle's book was right after she became a princess, and that was supposed to bridge the gap of that until the season started, till the next season. So none of my stuff has ever had Twilight not a princess in it.
You had the mop-up duty.
Yeah.
And she walked in there with the defibrillator. Clear!
Yeah.
I think both in the chaos it caused in the fandom and the fact that it was not intended to appear where it appeared, it was supposed to be at the end, I would get rid of that.
You're just tired of hearing thanks, M.A. Larson.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The other thing is, like, I get all this blame or praise, but I had nothing to do with it, really. They just said, here, you're doing this one where she gets wings. Could have been him, could have been her, could have been anybody, but I just happened to...
Could have been us.
He thought it meant like a KFC episode. You had to explain it to him.
How did it feel when you first started writing for the show?
I think you were the earliest.
Me?
Yeah,
Really?
Dave.
Earlier than you?
Wasn't
No,
me.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think we started both mid-season, season 1, right? No? Didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
You
so
were
did
too?
I.
Oh, I
We
thought you
both
were
started.
thinking,
We both started basically at the same point.
Well, you answer. How did it feel?
Well, I mean, when I first started, it hadn't been on the air yet. So the whole idea of there being a fandom or anything like that was so remote a possibility that I don't think it crossed anybody's mind. Seriously, I don't think. Maybe in Lauren's, maybe because she's had that experience of, being part of something that sprang out of her work or Craig's work. So it was just kind of a. It's kind of a gig, I mean, it's kind of like, you figure out that you kind of have a drill, with freelancers, you start a new show, you figure out how the characters work, you figure out how the showrunner wants to run it. And so it was kind of, but I do have to say that there was a certain richness to it. I mean, it was clear that Lauren and Rob Renzetti, who was there at the time, wanted to tell stories that weren't familiar in kids, and that's certainly, you would vouch for that, and having watched season 1, that there was something different about it, and that was clear. That was definitely clear to me, and it was definitely clear that they were willing to be adventurous and things that they were willing to try that I wasn't experiencing on other shows, which were a little bit more formulaic, inside the box, what's popular now. So that was exciting, and that was palpable well before the show was ever on the air.
Yeah, my memory of the early days was we take a very standard sitcom style setup, and Lauren wouldn't let us leave until we found a different way to go with it.
Right.
So it was really obvious Brady Bunch, Saved by the Bell kind of setups, but
then
really
kind of go
wanted
into like this epic place in
Yeah.
the third act. So
that only
blending.
could happen in this universe.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was an entirely different experience, obviously. I came in a lot later, and I had already written a ton of books, and I finally got the opportunity to write for the show, which was really cool. I mean, but it is strange knowing that I started after I knew about this whole fandom, had met a lot of you guys, had been interacting about the books, and already written for these characters for 2 years before I wrote for the TV show. So that was really cool for me to actually get to hear the actors say the words that I was writing, because I always wrote it as if I thought they were going to say them anyway in the books, but it was completely different to actually hear it.
No, it is a totally different experience because, like Dave was saying, for me and Dave, it was a gig. It was I wanted to work with Lauren because I'd worked with her on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, but I did not want to work on this show at all. I grew up with one brother. We hated My Little Pony from the beginning. That's why I used my initials on the show, because my agent told me not to use my real name on this show because it was embarrassing. So that's why I'm M.A. Larson. And I didn't want to work on it. But like Dave was saying, we get to see a couple of scripts, but there was no animation to look at. And the first time I saw anything was the Season 2 Writers Summit. Lauren showed us the pilot and played Winter Wrap-Up. And that's when I was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to lick the screen. It's like melted Skittles.
That explains everything.
That's when I really got it, was the Season 2 Writers Summit, how cool it really was.
Thank you.
My question is for Mr. Larson. You brought up earlier about the whole Twi'lek incident. I was wondering, with all like the dislike and some of the hate that you get sometimes, even though I think it's not right, I think it was a good idea. What is your favorite story arc that writers have brought up with Twilight? Like, what's your favorite writer, how they've branched out with her, different stories regarding her?
Since then?
Yeah.
Gosh, I haven't seen any of Season 6. I know that's bad. I can only really speak to the ones I worked on, I guess. I love things like in the Griffinstone episode. I love Twilight in that episode, where she's like, "This is awesome. I'm the star of this episode," and then it's like, "Sorry, no, you're not. Those two are." I like doing that to her. Because everybody's, she's overpowered. She's going to outlive. That was my favorite part of that whole controversy, is she's going to outlive her friends. And I'm like, since when are we worried about the death of all these ponies? That was like, that's your first thought, is they're all going to die?
It's going to be an episode with a bunch of tombstones. Rarity is going to have a horn coming out.
That's what everybody was worried about.
Fan art of that, and it was so depressing.
Guys,
What's that about?
Spoilers.
Standing.
Oh God.
Yeah, Season 7, they all die except for Twilight.
That's when the asteroid hits.
The only
Right
one left.
after they get their wings, they just die.
I just ruined it. All of Dave's hard work on Season 7. Ooh, 15 minutes left.
They finally show up to Westeros.
Sorry, that didn't answer your question at all, but yes, Cobra Commander.
Oh, yes, I have a great question for M.A. Larson. First off, Hasbro really misses you. We're really interested on what is happening with Operation Wings, but because you don't work for us anymore, obviously, I would like one question. If there were anything that you could change in the show, what would it be? We could use a little more ad revenue.
Are you
Is
Mr.
he
Hasbro?
Are you dressed as Hasbro?
He's not
Mr.
even
Hasbro,
cosplaying.
everybody.
He's just an actual person from Hasbro.
Oh my God.
That is Hasbro.
That's your boss, guys.
Can I take a picture?
Mr. Hasbro is here.
The Hasbro.
Trying to
I
blend
would
in.
make the toys more expensive.
Thank you, Hasbro.
Thank you.
Never thought I'd say that.
Let's hear it for Hasbro, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't you have a stock meeting to go to?
Always watching.
All right, this is a question for everyone.
when you get a premise and you're fleshing it out, where is your focus mainly? Is it on stuff like literary devices, is it natural dialogue? Like, what is the thing that you are thinking about the most when you are taking an idea and making it a full story?
Structure. Right?
Yeah, and also the emotional core.
Right.
That's what they're always talking about in story meetings. Like, what are we saying here? Right? No? Maybe just me.
But that goes hand in hand with structure, I think.
Yeah.
The,
It does. I'm just adding to what you said.
Yeah, I would say, what does the character want? What does the main character want? Who's the main character? What do they want? I think, and I think these are all three different entryways to the same. They're just three different doorways to the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Real quickly, because we've got about
it's right there.
Look at that mathematics right there.
Oh.
13 minutes left. We want to make sure everyone gets their chance to ask a question, so we're going to do somewhat of a blitz round. I mean, we don't want to cut off your question or answer, but since everyone's standing in line, we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak into the microphone. So it's time for the lightning round.
Look, he has a math shirt on. Numbers don't lie.
There you go.
Okay.
So,
My weight.
My Little Pony presents lots of great morality tales. Promises are important, and a Pinkie Pie promise is sacred. However, my wife is a third-grade teacher, and she would really like for you guys to do an episode in which, to do the right thing, Pinkie has to break a Pinkie Pie promise. Thank you.
Ooh.
It's a good moral dilemma.
Applejack does that all the time.
Who?
The one that walks on its legs, Mitch.
Yeah, my question is, what was the hardest episode you've ever had written show-wise?
I only have one so far, so that one. The one where Pinkie Pie knows about keeping secrets, not breaking a pinky promise.
I would say the hardest was actually maybe the most satisfying for me was Rarity Takes Manhattan. And the reason is because Rarity had to be unlikable. She had to kind of go to a sort of what potentially could be called an unlikable place. And so for that episode to work, and that the challenge was, could we take her there in a way where you were still on her side? And that was challenging. And but I loved that challenge, and I'm happy with how it turned out.
For me, it was Slice of Life because I didn't agree with it. I thought it was a bad idea. I didn't want to do it. The Lyra Bonbon, Doctor Who's, all those characters to you are fully fleshed characters, and to us, it's background pony number 3. And so they told me you're writing the background character episode, and I'm like, they're designs. They're not characters. I don't know. That's a green pony. I don't know what that is. And I felt bad stomping on you guys as characters. I thought it was a really bad idea. For 5 seasons, you had created these characters that you loved. And who am I to come in and say, no, this is who it really is? So I just totally fundamentally disagreed with it. I had like 3 meetings, I think, with Hasbro where I said, this is a bad idea. But the hub really wanted to do it. So we did it. And once I reached the point where it kind of clicked in my head and it's like, okay, this is a Brony episode. So let's just do that. Like go all out Brony. Then it was really easy.
Go online, visit 4chan, get some resources. Done. Where's my paycheck?
When I was trying to do it like a normal episode, it just wasn't working at all. And then when it clicked, like, oh, this is just insanity. Let's just do insanity. Then it was fun. Then I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it came out great, Mitch. Really
It did. It came out really good. Better than I thought it would.
What's the one show you wish you all wrote for?
Just one? That's hard.
See, I think we're all like taking this really seriously in case
Yeah.
anyone's listening. So they like give
Scouts
us a
in the
job.
audience.
Like,
Twin Peaks.
The motor oil?
can it be any type of show?
Equestria Girls.
This might be a bizarre answer, but I would, because it's in no way reality, but All in the Family. I would have loved to have written for that show.
That'd be awesome.
My favorite show is Broad City, so I'm just going to say that. Has anybody seen that show? All right, never mind. More for me. Doesn't work that way, I know that.
If you could rewrite an episode that you had no involvement with, how would you change it?
Oh, you mean what was the crappy thing one of our colleagues did?
Well, Larson's sitting right next to you, so let him have it.
That is what you were going for, isn't it? You want us to go after each other.
Makes him your mom.
Well, in GM Berrow's episode.
Aw.
Just kidding, I haven't seen it. Just kidding. I have seen it. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't know. Do you have any?
No. I can't. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Oh, I have something.
Oh, here we go.
No, it's not. I can't even remember which episode it's in, but whenever there's a few times when they say like, "Hand me that," I don't like that because they don't have hands and they don't use that word.
You're all about the pony puns.
Yeah, well, you gotta keep it consistent.
Well, this is from a show where Spike says every pony, and I feel that's a bit, mean.
In my books, he says every dragon,
I gotta read your books.
or like any dragon.
I would have. You're all gonna boo me for this. I don't think Maud needed to be like an extra character. I think it's weird that you create this sister that wasn't involved in all the other families. Why not use one of the two that already existed as Maud? I didn't get that.
Larson, merchandise.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hasbro. Oh, good, he's gone.
Our question is actually kind of interesting, I think. You know how on the animation the mains keep flipping back and forth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think any care might be taken in the future to maybe keep the animation more consistent in that regard?
It would look so weird if they didn't do that. It would just be somebody with hair in their face.
Yeah, because Fluttershy, like her whole side of her face would be covered.
But there are other model sides I've seen with the hair that way, so I already know it can work.
Oh, well, we're not animators, so we don't really know how that works.
There's some poor interns in South Korea right now just doing their best to finish animating the show. You have to message them.
I always thought the ponies were flat. No?
Yeah. Well, something to message them, so thank you. By the way, all fans of Twilight, sorry, my waifu.
Okay, Flash.
Okay, I'm a little bit nervous here, but this is for Miss Barrow. I've read all your books, and I really love them all. Though some of them, I think, break some of some what they did in the show. Kind of breaks some of what you did with the Pinky Palooza party, but I still enjoy all of them, and I love the Lyra and Bonbon one. And well, I just became a fan of Starlight Glimmer, even though we spent like all of season 5, hating her because as a villain, but now we all kind of love her now. And I was wondering, would you maybe be interested in doing a book on her?
I did write a book on her. It's coming out in August. I believe it's August 30th. It was originally called Starlight Glimmer in the Space-Time Suite, but they made me change the title to Starlight Glimmer in the Secret Suite because space-time is just way too cool.
So I know no spoilers or anything, but what can you at least tell us? Will this tell us more about Starlight's past? Because we only really saw from what we saw in the finale for season 5 and the beginning for season 6, we only knew so much little about her. Like, how did she get her cutie mark? How did she, eventually when her relationship with Sunburst and what happened after he went to Celestia School?
I think you guys all know how the show works. I mean, you get background sort of eked out over a long period of time. You're not going to get like a chunk of information all at once. I mean, it's a Starlight Glimmer story, so it's fun. It's supposed to be like as if it were an episode. It heavily features her and Twilight and Spike, so I can tell you that. Hope you all go out and buy it.
So we have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to keep lightning round. Let's keep it going.
All right, there's a My Little Pony movie coming out. If any of you were in charge of a movie, what would you have the story be?
It would be about Celestia.
Who?
Like doing nothing, like getting her oil changed.
So a typical Celestia.
I don't know. I haven't really prepared any answer for this because I don't get to write the movie. But I don't know. Maybe some sort of journey, adventure, maybe a daring do movie. It's probably not what you were asking. No. All right. I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm just talking now. I've gone delirious. It's the Red Bull. When are my wings coming?
Season 3.
So my question was for all three of you: what character concept have you written that just did not make the show that you guys like?
What character? As a joke in one of the story meetings, we were riffing on this nemesis for Applejack called Paris Steve. But that didn't work out.
Pear Steve is legendary with the writers.
Yeah. We kept trying to think of Paris Steve episodes. But
Into the OC Bennett goes.
and she's just like, Paris Steve.
He's the answer to every story conundrum. Always Pear Steve.
Hello, what was the one most helpful thing that helped you guys break into writing for the animation industry?
Who did you pay off?
I mean, it's not really a fair question, but having an agent. I mean, I didn't start out in animation, so but I started getting meetings in animation, and so that kind of then you get a job and you figure it out. So it's I think that I would say the best way, this is sort of, I guess, my feeling about people ask about what's the best way to break into writing, and I think it's to I know this isn't exactly what you're asking, but in my experience, it's not to target necessarily one specific, this is the job I want. That's just been my experience. I think that it's just to really sincerely figure out what is it that you really want to communicate, and then figure out how to do it well, and then how to try to do it in a way that's worthwhile to other people. And that if that's your focus, the industry that wants you will kind of gravitate to you. You may not. I didn't know that I wanted to be an animation writer. Now I know, because I've been one, and I realize I don't want to do anything else. So that's just me.
You could do what I did. I broke in by writing media tie-in material. I started ghostwriting outlines for books that were tie-in books, and then I built on that and came into TV writing in a backwards way. But there are many ways to get into things. If you, like you were saying earlier, you prepare and you're ready for that opportunity when it comes along. You've been practicing. Just keep.
We have 1 minute left. Can we get that pinky in?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
If you could create one character, or you've already got a character in mind that's in the show, to be added on to the main 6, what would it be?
Paris Steve.
I thought you said Paris Hilton for a second.
Gummy for me.
Gummy. I thought you meant a pony. I was going to say Sunset Shimmer.
Isn't that a human?
Yeah, but it's a character. Whatever. She was a pony. You don't know.
But that would be an awesome episode, because she'd show up and she'd be like, what the? She'd just be freaked out. Her brain would be exploding for 22 minutes.
I can be naked again.
Put big Macintosh in the main 6. That'd be cool.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap here. Big thanks to all of our writers.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you for waiting in line. Sorry you didn't get to ask your question.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to you guys.
There'll be some other panels during this weekend where hopefully you can ask questions to these lovely folks. So, all right. Let's hear it up once again
Thank
for
you, guys.
Emmy Larson, Dave Polsky, and Jayson Berrow. Y'all have a good one.